What if the Starks ruled with fear like the old kings of winter? Let's explore this alternate timeline together in the video. The Starks we know from the story are defined by one thing above all else: honor. Eddard Stark is the most honorable man in the Seven Kingdoms. He does not lie. He does not scheme. He keeps his oaths, even when it costs him everything, and in the end, it costs him his head. But the Starks were not always this way. Long before Ned, long before even the Targaryens came to Westeros, the rulers of Winterfell were known by a different title. They were not lords or wardens. They were the kings of winter, and the kings of winter were feared. These were the men who drove giants from the north and slaughtered the skinchangers led by Gaven Greywolf in the Savage War of the Wolves. They fought the Barrow Kings for 2 centuries in what the singers call the 1,000 Years' War, ending it only when the last Barrow King submitted and gave his daughter in marriage to the Stark King. They warred with the Red Kings of House Bolton for thousands of years, a house so brutal that they wore cloaks made from the flayed skins of captured Starks. 2 Bolton kings, Royce II and Royce IV, are said to have burned Winterfell to the ground, and still, the Starks prevailed. They crushed the Boltons, the Greenwoods, the Towers, the Ambers, the Frosts, and a score of lesser houses whose names are lost to history. Every rival was broken, bent, or buried. But the greatest of all the kings of winter may have been Theon Stark, known as the Hungry Wolf. When the Andals invaded Westeros, conquering every kingdom south of the Neck, Theon allied with House Bolton and smashed the Andal warlord Argos Sevenstar at the Battle of the Weeping Water. But Theon did not stop there. He lashed the body of Argos to the prow of his ship and sailed across the narrow sea to the shores of Andalos itself. He burned a score of villages, captured 3 tower houses and a fortified sept, killed hundreds, and carried their heads back to Westeros. He planted those heads on spikes along the entire northern coastline as a warning to any who would dare invade again. No Andal army ever conquered the north. That is the blood that runs in the veins of every Stark. But it is not just the Hungry Wolf. Brandon the Burner set fire to the entire Stark fleet in grief after his father, Brandon the Shipwright, was lost at sea trying to cross the Sunset Sea. The Starks who fought the Boltons did not merely defeat them, they extinguished entire bloodlines. When the Grey Starks, a cadet branch of House Stark itself, allied with the Boltons against Winterfell, the kings of winter wiped them out completely. Not exiled, not punished, erased. Over thousands of years, the fire cooled. Torrhen Stark bent the knee to Aegon the Conqueror and his dragons, earning the name the King Who Knelt. The Starks became wardens instead of kings, lords instead of conquerors. Honor replaced ruthlessness. Duty replaced fear. By the time Ned Stark was born, the wolf had been tamed. But what if it hadn't? What if the old ways survived? What if Ned Stark was raised not in the tradition of Jon Arryn's honor, but in the tradition of the Hungry Wolf? In this timeline, the change begins a generation earlier. Rickard Stark, Ned's father, does not send his sons south to be fostered. He does not trust the politics of the Eyrie or the ambitions of southern lords. Instead, Ned and his brother Brandon are raised in Winterfell, trained by Northmen, steeped in the old traditions. They pray only to the old gods. They learn to rule through strength. When Rickard speaks to his sons, he does not speak of chivalry or the faith of the Seven. He speaks of the Hungry Wolf and the kings of winter, of men who held the north through iron and will. Brandon takes to this naturally. He is fierce, hot-blooded, and quick to anger. But Ned is the more dangerous of the two. He is quiet where Brandon is loud. He watches where Brandon charges. And when he acts without hesitation and without mercy. When Robert's rebellion comes, the Starks still fight. The murder of Rickard and Brandon by the Mad King demands blood, and the North answers. But this Ned does not fight for honor or justice. He fights for vengeance. He does not seek to build a better kingdom. He seeks to destroy the one that killed his family. On the battlefield, he is terrifying. At the Battle of the Bells, he personally leads the assault through the streets of Stony Sept, cutting down Targaryen loyalists without hesitation. At the Trident, when Rhaegar falls to Robert Robert's hammer, Ned does not mourn the waste of it all. He orders his men to strip the Dragon Prince's armor and send it to Winterfell as a trophy. And when the war is won, this Ned does not simply go home and wait. He takes trophies. He demands concessions. When Robert sits the Iron Throne, Ned does not refuse rewards. He secures favorable trade agreements for White Harbor. He demands that the Crown fund the rebuilding of Moat Cailin. He takes hostages from the Riverlands and the Vale, not because he distrusts them, but because that is what a King of Winter would do. He also weds Catelyn Tully as agreed, but the marriage is one of alliance, not affection. Catelyn quickly learns that her husband is not the gentle northern lord she was promised. He is cold, deliberate, and calculating. She does not love him at first, but she comes to respect him, and in time, she recognizes that his ruthlessness is what keeps their family safe. Robert laughs at all of this and gives his old friend whatever he wants. It is a small price to pay for the man who won the war. Years later, when Robert rides north to ask Ned to serve as Hand of the King, the conversation takes a very different shape. They stand in the Godswood beneath the Heart Tree, and Robert makes his offer.
I need you, Ned. Come south with me. Be my hand. Help me rule this blasted kingdom.
Ned studies his old friend for a long moment. His grey eyes are cold and measuring.
What do I gain from it?
Robert blinks. Caught off guard, he laughs, but the sound falters.
Gain? You gain the second most powerful position in the realm. You gain the chance to shape kingdoms. What more could you want?
The Crown's debts to the Iron Bank will be settled with northern timber and northern iron, at prices I set. White Harbor will be granted exclusive trade rights for goods passing through the Bight, and my daughter Sansa will not be betrothed to your son. She will be betrothed when I choose, and to whom I choose. The North does not sell its daughters for southern trinkets.
Robert stares at him. For a moment, anger flashes in his eyes, but then he shakes his head and laughs again. A real laugh this time.
Gods, Ned, you've become harder than your father.
My father was burned alive because he trusted Southerners. I intend to learn from his mistake.
Ned rides south, but he does not ride as a servant. He rides as a wolf, entering a den of lions, and he knows exactly what he is walking into. When he arrives in King's Landing, he does not play the game the way the other lords expect. He does not wait for Littlefinger to come to him with whispered secrets. He does not trust Varys or Pycelle or any member of the small council. Instead, he brings his own men. Northern soldiers fill the corridors of the Red Keep. Jory Cassell commands a personal guard of 50 men, hand-picked and loyal only to Winterfell. Ned does not attend feasts or tournaments. He does not waste time on ceremony. He investigates Jon Arryn's death with the cold efficiency of a man who has hunted wolves in the Wolfswood. And when he discovers the truth about Cersei's children, he does not make Ned Stark's fatal mistake. He does not warn her. He does not give her a chance to flee. Instead, he acts. He waits for Robert to return from the hunt. When the king arrives, wounded and dying, Ned does not weep at his bedside. He leans close and speaks plainly.
Robert, your children are not yours. They are Jaime Lannister's. All three of them, Joffrey, Myrcella, and Tommen, born of incest between the Queen and the Kingslayer.
Robert's eyes go wide. His face turns red, then purple.
You had better have proof, Ned. By the gods, you had better have proof.
Jon Arryn died for this truth. Stannis knows it. I have the proof. But you are dying, and we do not have time for pleasantries. Name Stannis your heir. Do it now in front of witnesses. Sign it, seal it, and let me handle the rest.
Robert does not argue. He is too weak, too furious, and too drunk to think clearly. He signs the decree naming Stannis as his heir, and gives Ned full authority as regent until Stannis arrives. And this time, Ned does not rely on Littlefinger or the gold cloaks. He has learned the lessons of the South. Trust no one who has not bled for you. The moment Robert dies, Ned moves. His northern guard seize the Red Keep before dawn. The gold cloaks, leaderless and confused, are given a simple choice by Jory Cassell. Stand down or stand in the way. Most choose wisely. Cersei is arrested in her chambers, dragged from her bed still in her nightclothes. She screams threats and curses, invoking her father's name and promising fire and ruin. Ned listens to none of it. Jaime is disarmed by 4 northern soldiers and thrown in the black cells. He goes quietly, with the smile of a man who has always known this day would come. The children are taken into custody, not harmed, but placed under heavy guard. Sansa, who might have wept for Joffrey in another life, watches from a window as the golden lion banners are torn down from the Red Keep's walls. When Littlefinger tries to intervene, suggesting that perhaps they could come to some arrangement, Ned has him arrested as well. The Mockingbird protests that he is a valuable asset, that he knows secrets that could bring down half the lords of Westeros. Ned tells him that is precisely why he cannot be allowed to walk free. The Spider, Varys, seeing which way the wind blows, quietly offers his services to the new order. Ned accepts, but keeps him on a short leash. Catelyn receives word of all this at Winterfell and rides south immediately. She arrives at the Red Keep and finds her husband seated in the Hand's chair, directing the kingdom like a general directing a campaign. When she enters, he looks up.
The Lannisters are finished. I've sent ravens to Stannis. He will arrive within the fortnight. Until then, the city is ours.
And what of Tywin? He will not sit idle while you hold his daughter and grandchildren prisoner. He has the largest army in the Westerlands, and the gold to hire a dozen more.
Let him come. Moat Cailin is garrisoned. The Riverlands will support us because your father's banners are already raised, and Stannis will bring the royal fleet. If Tywin wants war, he will find one waiting for him.
You sound as if you want it.
I want it over. I have watched the Lannisters grow fat and arrogant while good men died around them. My father, my brother, Jon Arryn, they have taken enough from this world. It ends now.
When Stannis Baratheon arrives, Ned hands him the crown without hesitation. There is no argument over succession, no scheming, no second-guessing. Stannis sits the Iron Throne and immediately sets about purging the court of Lannister influence. But it is Ned who advises him on how to handle what comes next. When Stannis proposes executing Cersei and her children, Ned counsels against it, not out of mercy, but out of strategy.
Kill the children, and you make martyrs. Every lord in the realm will wonder if his own sons are safe under your rule. Send them to Casterly Rock under guard. Let Tywin raise his grandchildren as Lannisters, stripped of any claim to the throne. It removes the threat without giving him a cause to rally behind.
Father, what about the Kingslayer? Surely he cannot be allowed to live after what he has done.
Jaime Lannister broke his oath to the king he swore to protect and bedded the queen he swore to guard. He will be stripped of his white cloak and sent to the wall. The Night's Watch needs men, and the Lannisters need to understand that there are consequences.
And if Tywin refuses to accept any of this?
Then we destroy him. Not in a single battle, but slowly. We blockade Lannisport with the royal fleet. We cut off his trade routes through the Riverlands. We let winter do what winter does. The Westerlands are rich, but gold cannot feed an army. When his men are starving and his lords are grumbling, he will come to terms. And if he does not, then we march.
Tywin Lannister is many things, but he is not a fool. He knows when the odds are against him. With the Iron Throne, the North, the Riverlands, and the Stormlands all aligned against him, and with his daughter and son in custody, he has no allies and no leverage. The Tyrells wait to see who wins before committing. The Martells are content to watch the Lannisters suffer. Even the Iron Islands see no opportunity in a united realm. Tywin has no choice but to negotiate. He sends his brother Kevan to treat with the crown, and the terms are harsh. Cersei is returned to Casterly Rock in disgrace, stripped of all titles. Jaime is sent to the wall. The crown's debts to the Lannisters are restructured, with the Lannisters paying reparations for the conspiracy. Tywin himself is forced to come to King's Landing and kneel before Stannis, publicly acknowledging the new king. It is the greatest humiliation House Lannister has suffered in generations, and the old lion bears it with a face of stone. But everyone in the throne room can see the rage behind his eyes. As he rises from his knees, he passes Ned on the way out. The two men lock eyes. Tywin speaks first, his voice barely above a whisper. Catelyn watches the exchange from the gallery above and later asks her husband what Tywin said to him.
What did the old lion whisper to you?
He told me that a wolf who bares its teeth should be careful it does not bite off more than it can chew.
And what did you say?
Nothing, I smiled. That is what frightened him most.
With the Lannister threat neutralized, the realm settles into an uneasy peace under Stannis. The new king is just but stern, fair but unloved. He rules by the letter of the law, and the lords of the realm respect him, even if they do not adore him. Ned serves as Hand for 2 years before stepping down and returning to Winterfell. He has no desire to stay in the South longer than necessary. The Game of Thrones does not interest him. Power is merely a tool, and he has used it to secure the North's future. Back in Winterfell, Ned begins the work that truly matters to him. He fortifies the North with the same ruthlessness he brought to King's Landing. Moat Cailin is rebuilt into an impregnable fortress. White Harbour's fleet is expanded until it rivals the Royal Navy. The mountain clans are armed and brought into formal alliance. Ned sends Robb to foster with the Umbers to toughen him, and he trains Jon Snow personally, teaching him the old ways of the Kings of Winter. When Robb returns home after 2 years with the Umbers, he is harder, stronger, and more confident than before. He sits with his father in the Great Hall one evening as snow falls outside.
The Great Jon says you've turned the North into a kingdom in all but name. He says no lord south of the Neck would dare challenge us. Is that true?
It is true enough. But strength is not just about armies and castles. It is about making certain that no one ever has a reason to test you. The moment they believe you are weak, they will come. The Lannisters came for my father because they believed they could. The Mad King burned him because he believed there would be no consequences. We must ensure that no one ever makes that mistake again.
The other lords talk about you, you know. They say you are more like the old kings than any Stark in 300 years. Some of them mean it as praise, others are not so certain.
Let them talk. The Hungry Wolf did not care whether his enemies loved him or feared him. He cared that the North survived. That is all I care about. Love fades, fear endures.
And what of honor?
Ned pauses. He stares into the fire for a long time.
Honor is what you tell yourself when you have no other weapon. I have swords, I have walls, I have 30,000 men who will march when I call. I do not need honor. I need my children alive and my kingdom whole. That is the only code that matters.
Years pass. The North grows stronger. The Boltons, who might have plotted in the shadows under a weaker lord, are kept firmly under heel. Roose Bolton receives regular visits from Winterfell's men, and his bastard Ramsay is taken as a ward, a hostage in all but name. When Roose protests, citing ancient rights and the dignity of his house, Ned invites him to Winterfell for a private supper. No one knows exactly what is said behind those closed doors, but Roose returns to the Dreadfort pale and silent, and he never raises the matter again. Some say Ned reminded him of what the old kings of winter did to the Red Kings who defied them. Others say he simply showed Roose the ledger of every Bolton rebellion and asked him which ending he preferred. Whatever the truth, the Boltons cause no trouble. Theon Greyjoy remains at Winterfell as well, but he is treated less like a companion and more like what he truly is, a guarantee against his father's ambitions. He trains with Robb and Jon, eats at their table, and sleeps in a warm room, but he is never allowed to forget that his comfort depends on his father's obedience. When Balon Greyjoy makes noise about independence, Ned sends a raven with a single line: "Your son is well." He stays well so long as the Iron Islands remain quiet. The ravens from Pike fall silent. Across the narrow sea, Daenerys Targaryen hatches her dragons and begins her conquest of Slaver's Bay. Word reaches Westeros slowly, carried by traders and sailors. When the first reports arrive of dragons flying above Meereen, Stannis dismisses them as exaggerations. But Ned does not. He remembers what dragons did to Harrenhal, how Harren the Black and all his sons were roasted alive inside walls they thought were impregnable. He remembers the Field of Fire, where the combined armies of the Reach and the Westerlands were burned to ash in a single afternoon. And he remembers that Torrhen Stark, the King Who Knelt, bent the knee because he was wise enough to know when he could not win. Torrhen was mocked for it, called a coward by fools who did not understand that survival is its own kind of victory. This Ned understands that lesson better than any Stark since. Ned rides to King's Landing one last time. He meets with Stannis in the throne room, and for the first time in years, the two men who saved the realm stand face to face.
You have heard the reports from Essos. Dragons, Your Grace. Not rumors, not stories. Living, breathing dragons.
Stannis grinds his teeth. His jaw is tight.
When Aegon came to Westeros, every kingdom that fought him was destroyed. The gardeners were burned at the Field of Fire, and their line was extinguished forever. Harren the Black was roasted alive inside his own castle. Only 2 kings survived the conquest. My ancestor Torrhen, who knelt, and your ancestor Orys, who served. The lesson is clear. You cannot fight dragons with steel alone.
Stannis stares at him, waiting.
We must prepare. Not just walls and armies, but alliances. Every lord in Westeros must understand that when the dragons come, and they will come, we stand together, or we burn separately. I did not spend 20 years building the North into a fortress, only to watch it melt.
Stannis does not answer right away. He is not a man given to fear, but he is a man given to calculation. At last, he nods.
There is something else. I have reason to believe that the Targaryen girl is not the only dragon left in the world. There may be another, closer to home. I will explain when the time is right, but you need to trust me on this.
Stannis grinds his teeth. He is not a man given to sentiment, but he is a man given to calculation. He tells Ned that he does not trust easily, but trusts results, and that Ned has delivered results where others delivered only excuses. He tells him to do what he must. Ned returns to Winterfell and begins preparing for what he believes is inevitable. He stockpiles dragon glass from mines on Dragonstone, a concession he negotiated with Stannis years ago. He commissions scorpions and heavy crossbows designed to pierce dragonhide based on designs he ordered researched from old Dornish war records. For it was the Dornish who killed Meraxes, one of Aegon's original 3 dragons, with a scorpion bolt through the eye. He stations these weapons along the northern coast and atop the walls of every major castle. He sends Jon Snow to the wall, not as a recruit, but as a commander, to strengthen the watch and prepare for threats from both the north and the south. And in the quiet of his solar, with the door barred and the fire burning low, he tells Robb the truth that he has kept hidden for 2 decades. The truth about Jon's mother, the truth about Lyanna and Rhaegar, the truth about the dragon blood that flows through his nephew's veins. Robb listens in silence. When Ned finishes, his eldest son simply stares at him.
Does Jon know?
Not yet, but when the dragons come, he will need to. He may be the only thing standing between the north and fire.
Then tell him, if the old kings of winter taught us anything, it is that you use every weapon at your disposal. Jon is a weapon, the most important one we have.
Ned nods slowly. Outside the window, snow falls thick over Winterfell. In the yard below, Jon Snow trains with the understanding that war is coming, Ghost padding silently behind him. He does not yet know who he truly is, but when the time comes, the North will be ready, not because it is honorable, not because it is just, but because a Stark sits in Winterfell who remembers what his ancestors knew, that winter does not care about honor, that dragons do not respect mercy, and that the only thing that has ever kept the North alive is the will to do whatever it takes to survive. The Starks of this timeline are not the gentle wolves we know. They are the wolves that drove the giants from the north, that lined their coasts with severed heads, that bent the knee only when the alternative was extinction, and rose again the moment they saw their chance. They are feared, and they are alive. Every one of them. Ned, Catelyn, Robb, Sansa, Arya, Bran, Rickon, and Jon. In a world that punishes the honorable and rewards the ruthless, House Stark has chosen to play the game on its own terms. And as the dragons circle closer, the North stands ready. The old crown of bronze and iron may have been lost to Aegon 3 centuries ago, but the spirit that forged it burns brighter than ever in the cold halls of Winterfell. That's my view of this alternate timeline. Westeros is a land filled with exciting stories and endless possibilities, and we are here to uncover them with you. If you want to accompany us on this journey across the Seven Kingdoms and beyond, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.